began with Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Need a ride, Santa Claus?
Oh, no, not exactly.
But it isn't over yet. In fact, the ultimate nightmare is about to begin all over again.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Yes, this is Aaron. We were discussing why Kevin owns Jeggings.
we'll dabble in that conversation in a moment. This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, starring some randos I couldn't pick out of a lineup. So, good times.
Just in time for the holidays.
Just in time for the holidays. Each week.
Our gift from our family.
To your family, exactly, like Hillshire Farms.
You wish we were only offering you a summer song.
You wish. That sounds like a euphemism. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Now, what Aaron and I were talking about is how cruel our students can be to their kindly teachers, I feel. I was wearing jeans to class today, and a student said, first period, so I got to carry this with me for the entire day. Mr. Doherty, why are your jeans so tight? Okay, and here, to make matters worse, I tried on 4 different pairs of jeans this morning, and these were the least tight.
What is it like? Is it like a Billy Squire video over the 8th grade?
Stroke me. It is. It is absolutely a Billy Squire video. No.
Oh my God, what's next? You're just gonna wear spandex?
I might have to at this stage of the game. No, it's a sad situation. Clearly, I've been hitting the nog a little too hard these
No
days.
No such thing, bro. No such thing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what happened? Go ahead.
You gotta catch the unicorn as it gallops by.
Okay, in a cold hard reality, I lost a bunch of weight during the COVID pandemic, not because I had the vid or something else, but it was just I had the time, so why don't I go jogging or something? So I have been wearing these jeans that, I mean, clearly are women's jeans. I don't know how they made their way into my closet, but I'm just like, whatever, because they're denim, but they're kind of stretchy. They're kind of a stretchy denim, not super stretchy, a little stretchy.
It doesn't have the bazinged like crucifix on the rear cheeks or anything.
They might. Who's to say? And you know, in my slimmer days, say back in September, that wasn't too much of a problem. They were a little form-fitting, but whatever. Now they're way too form-fitting. Clearly, it's almost obscene, is what my students are telling me. Very upsetting. I'm about to get a call from an angry parent. So,
what's happening at your school? And then my story is someone gave me a copy of Harper's Bazaar, and Patti Smith is on the cover. And during the pandemic, I went the opposite direction of Kevin. And on top of gaining weight, I also let my hair go natural, which apparently is gray in front and mousy brown in the back. And not 1, not 2, not 5, but everyone, including the staff, walked up, looked at the magazine. They're like, "Miss, you look just like the lady on the magazine." They're like, and then they go, "But not to be mean, but she looks just like you."
And who was on the magazine again?
Patti Smith. Patti Smith right now. She's on the cover of Harper's Bazaar.
75-year-old musician from the 70s, correct?
She's a rock and roller. There's a book about her because she was dating Mapplethorpe in her younger days.
That makes just like you. Clearly. Sweet Jesus.
Now, I'm not complaining if I had her talent, but right now,
not so much.
She's looking really more male than female these days. which is not the look I'm trying to cultivate. So I immediately went home and put like a tone on my hair.
There you go.
Now I don't look like Patti Smith at all because I have an ever so barely discernible pink tint to my hair.
Beautiful. Good times. Okay, let's get this train back on the tracks. Aaron.
This train has lost the tracks. It stopped tumbling car over car. And in fact, the last of the fire is being put out by the park ranger.
That is correct. As if by a swarm of killer bees drove the train off the tracks, basically. Anyhow.
As nature does.
As nature does. Give us your 30-second synopsis of Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2.
Somehow they always wrangle the Catholic Church into this, even if there's really no demon possessions. Apparently, a kid witnessed his parents being murdered by a guy dressed as Santa Claus. So he was crazy at the orphanage and would draw pictures, as kids do. Probably told the nuns they looked like Patti Smith too. And then next thing you know, he's kind of like a crazy-eyed killer. And so he gets killed. But then his brother, who is not even mentally functioning, he was like an infant around this time, it still ends up a serial killer.
That's correct.
Who cannot possibly have any memory. The difference is the older brother is triggered by Santas. The younger brother was triggered by red cars, and then it became anything red.
That's correct.
Is that correct, Kevin?
That is correct. Are you ready for me to blow your mind?
Okay, dude, it's not about Santa at all. Is this like some kind of like Vatican II Illuminati shit?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's Opus Dei.
Lay it on me.
Okay, in 1984, a low-budget slasher called Silent Night, Deadly Night came upon the scene, right? It kind of came and went, essentially. It didn't make much of a dent. The makers of that film hired a new director and said, hey, why don't you take the first movie and just recut it and we'll say it's a new movie. And this director was like, I don't think that's going to work. Give me a little cash so I can shoot a few scenes and then I can take what scraps are from the first movie, add it with my new footage, and we'll turn that into a new movie. And so that's what he did. So Silent Night, Deadly Night, for the first 45 minutes, is essentially a highlight reel, a Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 1. Okay?
Well, clearly, are you going to tell me I've already seen and reviewed this?
No. But what I'm saying is...
Thank God. I'm like, whoa, maybe I am past
you were partying.
Maybe things are happening because I'm like, nothing was registering.
The thing about it is, if you watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, you don't need to see the first one because you've already seen it. Because the entire first half where it's the brother going on the rampage, that's the first movie. It's basically like...
Well, who's the Santa who kills the parents?
That's just a random thing that occurs. Was
he black?
No, he was not. Racism.
I think he was black.
He was not.
It would be racist to assume he was white.
How dare he was clearly a white guy. But it was, yes. So over the course of this movie, you've got 3 Santa killers. You got the original inciting incident killer who just I think in the first one he robs a liquor store and goes on a killing spree and then runs out of gas when the family pulls up and then for no reason kills the husband, shoots him dead, grabs the mother who you think he's going to rape, but then decides just to slit her throat after tearing her top off.
He's like, not worth it.
Not worth it. So anyway, the first 45 minutes is literally it's like a very special episode of Family Ties where they kind of call back, the highlights from the season where they didn't feel like filming an episode that week or something. That was basically what the first 45 minutes was.
Alex P. Keaton was in fact the killer.
Why not? Why not indeed? So they added the framing device of the heretofore never seen younger brother. Okay? The younger brother was not
an infant, a tiny baby in a car seat.
He wasn't really much of a character at all in the first movie. There was no references to his little brother Ricky or any of that stuff. Okay? They created that character to tell the story to the psychiatrist, just to have a reason to show those scenes again, essentially. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So all the scenes with the psychiatrist in the mental asylum are all from the first movie?
No. Anything with Ricky, the protagonist of this movie.
I'm sorry. This terrible acting is the redo, the improvement?
Yes! We're going to talk about that.
Oh,
so yes.
Lord.
So yes, the everything where it's the older brother who's on the rampage, that's the first movie. Okay? All the stuff with Ricky, the younger brother with the crazy eyebrows, he is the hand-picked successor that's brought back. But what's funny about this is clearly none of the actors from the first movie were willing to come back, no matter how small their part. So they had nuns, like the nuns from the first movie are not the same nuns in the second movie. Even when it's supposed to be Mother Superior that he's getting revenge on, clearly an entirely different actor. And they gave her a crazy mutant face, unexplained.
Oh my God. No, they said she had a stroke, and apparently stroke is code for I stuck half my face in a fire, and now I have a John Merrick face.
Yeah, exactly. I had a stroke, and now I've become a disfigured mutant. Basically, because it is like she was splashed with acid, or like Two-Face, the old Batman villain.
It was giant boils all over the side of the face. Maybe they were confused and didn't know what a stroke was, because clearly she had no weakness on sides of her body as she was like flinging herself downstairs and rocking both arms on the wheelchair.
Yes. Yeah.
Strokes affect hemispheres. So if your arm's rocking, I'm guessing that leg's kicking too.
Well, and I've often said, truth be told, if you are in a wheelchair, maybe get just a one-story place to live. What do you think? I don't know.
She had at least 3 wheelchairs in the house. Because, first of all, how did she get upstairs?
Yes.
We don't know.
Crawled herself up.
And there was a wheelchair downstairs waiting for her.
That's awfully convenient.
Every night, she crawls up with her good arms and her dead legs, and then every morning she rolls herself down like a bowling ball.
That's correct. Maybe it's like a rug burn on her face from falling down the stairs every damn night. Who's to say?
I kept waiting for her to race over and get into that lift chair that takes you down the stairs as it slowly descends, and the killer is silently waiting to chase her down.
I felt like we just jumped right in, by the way. I felt like, and again, this is the last 10 minutes of the movie. I thought like Mother Superior was trying to get in the crazy chair, but I'm not sure that there was a chair at the top of the stairs, like the little conveyor that brings you down. Instead, she just rolls down the stairs on her own.
She wheeled herself to the top of the stairs, pitched herself down, and then there was another wheelchair up and ready where she has so much upper body strength that she just flung herself into that.
Yeah, again, falling down the stairs. No problem, no worse for wear. She's good to go. She's ready for action. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, before we continue down this road any further, had you ever seen this movie? Clearly, you've never seen it.
Oh, please.
Had you ever heard of this movie before?
I've heard the name Silent Night, Deadly Night. I'm not sure if I knew there was a second one.
By the way, around our household, it's called Too Silent, Too Deadly, is what it should have been called.
That's a whole separate issue.
You're telling me. I had heard of it. It's one of those things where you'd seen like the box at the Blockbuster. I saw it for the first time, I want to say, a year ago on Joe Bob. But I knew nothing about it going in. Evidently, it is a there's a very memed scene from this movie that is just it's rocketing through the internet over and over in the last 40 years. Do you know what scene is the most memed scene that has made it kind of a cult film? It's not a scene, it's just a moment, I should say. Any guesses? People at home may already know.
Peeking through the glowing keyhole.
We're going to talk about that. It's the scene where Ricky goes on the rampage and there's some dude taking his garbage out. And Ricky...
Oh, yeah. Ricky, it's garbage day.
He does, what? Some random dude is putting his garbage on the curb. Ricky wheels around in his own special style, goes, "Garbage day!" and blasts him for no reason.
For no apparent reason. It went from naughty. You're naughty.
Right.
Dude, you left your cans out front. Yeah. Goodbye.
That was it. That was it. Okay. We've already kind of started, but let's go ahead and go dance more with the highlights here. What do you got, Aaron?
Well, there was two things.
Yes.
I mean, what's the year of this? 80 what?
It's like 87.
All right. So 2 ways you know it's an 80s movie. All the chicks are topless.
Yes.
For no apparent reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
And they threw out a nice Freddie Blassie pencil neck comment.
That's right. Ricky calls a psychiatrist.
The pencil neck piece of shit, because you can't say pencil neck geek.
That's Freddie Blassie's. Yeah.
That's Freddie Blassie's, but they're cutting it close because no one said pencil neck before Freddie Blassie.
That is true. That is true.
I don't know if that's true, but we're making it true today.
Right. We feel it's true, therefore it is true.
I was told
Go ahead.
It was true.
People are saying. People are saying
it's true.
We talked about this briefly before. When little, I think his name was Billy, the original killer, I think he was sent to his room for drawing psychotic Christmas photos where there's like the decapitated reindeer and Santa's been shot to death. He's sent up to the room and he can't play in the snow. At one moment, he leaves his room, is walking down the hall, and he hears moaning. And he peeks in the golden keyhole, and there's a couple who I swear to God are at least 25, just having sex.
Who are they?
Who are they?
Is that a nun and a priest? Who are they?
No explanation.
And why are they getting it on at the orphanage?
Right. You figure once you hit 18, you're sent packing, but not in this case. Clear. These are adult orphans who are like, I'm just staying, if that's cool. And I'm gonna
or if it's not cool.
Regardless, we're gonna go into our room and moan loud enough for the poor little orphan children down the hall to hear us. And eventually Mother Superior herself will come down, who grabs a belt to discipline us for getting down to biz. Why are they there?
A reward or a punishment? We don't know.
Who's to say? Really?
I was trigger warning. As soon as that was going on, all I could think about was the time I was washing my car in front of our house growing up, and I was like, "What is that sound?"
Wait a minute.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, "No!
Don't." Okay. We took a dark turn there. That's when these are our parents you're talking about. I'm presuming. I don't know. It could have been anybody. I guess. Could have been some adult orphans that were lodging nearby.
Enough said. My answer is, if you hear strange noises that aren't saying help, don't investigate.
Don't investigate. Don't do it. You say enough said. I say more than enough said, frankly. There's the scene, which I know was also very triggering for you, where the little boy was tied to his bed because he kept walking the halls. What was the issue? Because he was having traumatic flashbacks.
Mom, it was something. My mom had one of those too because I was an escape artist, and she'd say, "We're gonna buckle up like Sinbad the Sailor," and guess what? Erin just wiggles her way right out of that. It was a thing to keep your children in bed. I guess they just didn't have handcuffs or something. God forbid there's a fire.
First of all, buckle up like Sinbad the Sailor. I don't know what that means. Is that some kind
There used to be one of those Japanese, like, there was the King Kong cartoon.
Yes.
At the same time, there was also, by the same company, a Sinbad.
And he was often shackled to his bed?
I don't know the connection, but it was the best our mother could come up with to, you got to come up with something.
People are getting they're getting a wide glimpse into the inner workings of our childhood. Perhaps too much.
I figure you got 7 children. Somebody's got to get tied up.
So, sweet Jesus. So little Billy,
that or security gates on their doors.
Please do. Just nail those doors shut and brick it up. Little Billy is traumatized, obviously. So there's a scene where Mother Superior picks him up and forces him into the lap of Santa, as one does, cuts to the front of the line, and he cold cocks Santa. Punches him like Mike Tyson. The Santa goes flying. This kid is 8 years old. How did that happen? Who knows?
And I love, they seem to know how he ended up in the orphanage, yet at the same time are so insensitive. They keep putting into a terrifying situation and overreacting. I mean, did we see The Sixth Sense? He drew scary as drawings. And it took Mom like a week to realize the entire room was covered with these jacked up photos.
And I think that was what was that, Insidious? I think Insidious had a similar thing where there's like a million photos that tell the whole plot of the movie that no one noticed until now.
Yeah. I'm going to start drawing now. In my
Please
Christmas card here, it's just going to be automatic writing.
Okay, we're in an audio medium, so just like gesturing wildly does not help the audience. Sweet Jesus.
Oh, Lord.
What else you got?
I put the nuns are mean, the superior acting. I'm like, this dude sucks so much. Our Ricky character. I'm like, I assume he did not go on to do like a Lear in the Park or something.
He basically disappeared after this movie. When this movie became a cult phenomenon, no one could track him down for like 30 years. Eventually, somebody found him. And he was just like, oh, I didn't even know people were looking. So, there you go.
Like, what?
I made one movie 30 years ago. I don't know anything about it. I'm like Linda Lovelace.
Oh my God. But then they tried to be like super sensitive to him later on when his brother's killed in front of him. So they orphaned him off to a Jewish family. So he doesn't have to be bothered with Christmas, only the frightening terror of Hanukkah.
And he was fine. He was fine. Like literally, he was adopted by the Rosenbergs, and he was fine. I swear to God, until he was 18. Right? He's not killing animals. He's not Jeffrey Dahmer. And then he witnesses a loan shark hustling some dude in an alley, and that kind of triggers something. Why? The color red. Oh, yeah, and we have to talk about that scene. Jesus Christ. So he goes, an 18-year-old kid who's working as what? A busboy in some restaurant or something.
Right.
He goes out
in the barrio. Whatever Canadian city this is.
This is correct. He sees like a seasoned loan shark, a mafioso, beating up some guy. He goes to the guy, lifts him up by his throat, takes an umbrella out of the trash can, skewers him with the umbrella, and then opens the umbrella, which I'm not even sure that's humanly possible for any number of reasons.
I don't know. That's a damn good umbrella. I hope you wrote down the model, because mine at Target will definitely not do that.
Mary Poppins wish she had an umbrella that strong. No question.
Well, the whole scene was weird because this dude is probably with his Cuban heels is a 5'9". Yet he picks up this dude who looks like oh my God, who's the guy from his daughter was the Mighty Aphrodite?
Oh, Paul Sorvino.
He looks like, he's a buff dude, but he's probably like 5'9" in his late 70s heels. He's picked up Paul Sorvino and holds him up. So Sorvino's feet are clearly dangling when Servino was clearly much taller than him.
Yes.
So now Servino is at a height like Wilt Chamberlain is holding him up.
With one arm. One arm.
With one arm, and then skewers him with the umbrella.
Now, I have to ask, that was clearly meant to, that's a comedic moment, right? Running him through with the umbrella and then opening the umbrella.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, they had to have hired this guy. They had to have known how terrible it is, so maybe they thought it would be funny. It couldn't be serious, right? Is this
It could
an
be.
Ed Wood production?
It's one of those things where it's hard to know. Are you telling jokes or is this sincere? Right? Nobody knows the answer.
Either answer doesn't change my judgment.
No.
It'd just be good to know.
It would be good to know. So he murders that homie. And honestly, there are multiple times in this movie where you think Ricky or Billy or whatever is kind of quasi-heroic. Like multiple times they like rescue someone from like attempted rape. Right? Multiple times. And the first time Billy rescues the woman from the guy trying to rape her, same thing. One holds the guy up, strangling him with Christmas lights by one arm. The woman's reaction is, "What's wrong with you? How could you?" Look, I'm not saying murder is the way you always have to go, but he did save you from rape. Little gratitude. He did.
And then because you were so ungrateful, he then murdered you.
Then he murdered you. Now you were asking for it at that point, I think, at that stage of the game.
And then you cut to little brother rescue someone from delayed rape. I think he's angry was going to come back and rape her later.
I'm going to get a beer, then I'm definitely coming back to rape you. So just stay here.
Now he's a nice Jewish boy. He's got a tie on and a nice 80s sweater.
Yep.
Witnesses it all and just decides to run the dude over like 10, 12 times.
Backs over him, runs over him, backs over him over and over again.
Except
now, she was much more appreciative.
Yeah, this time the girl's just like, thanks. Now, how do the police not know it's you, sweetie? You might want to wait and get some witnesses or something.
It is leaving the scene of a crime if you just walk off as there's a corpse underneath a Jeep Cherokee.
I think he did it to himself. It was a suicide that he ran himself over 12 times.
He must have caught himself by surprise. So there's a scene, clearly from the first movie, where there's a couple who are like having sex on top of a pool table. And she says, "My cat wants to come in, so let me go upstairs." She's attacked by Billy, the first killer, Santa killer. She is screaming, screaming, screaming. Her boyfriend is literally downstairs, oblivious. Can't hear a thing.
Did you hear him answer her?
It's like Children of a Lesser God is what you're suggesting.
Oh my God.
It could be yes.
Marlee Matlin.
It could be Marlee Matlin. Yes. So there are multiple scenes where it's like, look, if you hear your girlfriend screaming up, maybe they soundproof the pool area. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, that might have been the pleasure dungeon in the attic.
That's correct.
There's no law that says your dungeon can't be in your attic.
There is no law. That is true.
It was 12 Shades of Grey, and all they got around to was the soundproofing.
That's correct.
Is she the one that gets stuck on the horns?
Yes, she gets impaled upon some antlers that are on the wall.
This is the stupidest thing. Then he walks in where clearly she's hanging directly in front of her.
Yes.
He literally walks around her legs and is looking around the room and then turns to be surprised. He had to get out of the way of the legs hanging there to get in the room.
That's correct. They do this in movies from time to time where it's just like logic dictates you would have seen the killer or you would have seen the victim long before you noticed them, right? He's basically tripping over her blood, slipping around. Honey, where are you? Well, these legs keep bumping into me. Are you in here? Yeah, this is... I wrote that down.
Is this a leg curtain blocking the doorway.
So strange. I don't understand. I was laughing. There's the late night sledding scene. Late night where two boys are like, hey, let's go sledding. It's midnight. It is pitch black outside. You're in the middle of the forest. Maybe not the best time to go sledding. And
are you getting bullied when you're 30? Is that still a thing?
That's the thing. Evidently, there's a gang of
are these
ruffians.
Crips? Are they Bloods?
They're Crips and Bloods who were laying in wait in the darkened forest to steal their sleds.
Freezing cold, yeah.
In the freezing
their Walmart plastic toboggan.
That's great. It's 40 below and it's 2 a.m. They're out there laying in wait in case someone decides to go sledding at that moment. Now, what makes it hilarious is the bullies, one of them goes down the hill in the toboggan, and of course, there steps out evil Santa, who swings his fire axe and just decapitates the dude. So the sled continues down the hill, followed by his bouncing, decapitated head. So good times.
The problem with being an axe murderer is the fact that you then have to carry a big, heavy axe around with you.
It's just no fun. It's just no fun at all.
And do we have fire axes? What does one do with the axe? You throw the axe at the fire and that puts out the fire?
That puts out the fire. Yes, that is correct. I think the idea is you're trapped in a room. I'm just going to chop my way out of here. I think that's the idea.
Are you just making kindling at that point?
Could be. Who's to say? It's either that or launch yourself out the window. I don't know. Take your pick.
What is this, The Shining? And there's just an enormous amount of people killed by axes in horror films. And I, for one, don't own an axe.
I don't own one either, now that you mention it. I don't do a lot of chopping. But,
in the world of murderers, does that make us victims then? There's people with axes, we know what they do, and people without axes. They're just victims waiting to happen.
That's true. You're either the axing or the axed, I guess. You're
either the hammer or the nail.
I wear Axe body spray. Does that count for something?
No.
Partial credit? No.
You can bring that up as your talisman for book club when we talk about the I can't think of the book.
Are you having mini strokes or what is going on? Yes, I'll be sure to mention it.
Warcraft.
It's Lovecraft Country, the book for our book club this week. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Ricky meets a foxy lady who slams into his motorcycle in her Chevelle or whatever it is, and he's knocked to the ground. She opens the door and you see her leg, and immediately, like, the sexy saxophone kicks in. That's a saxophone, by the way. So you knew she was sexy. And immediately they're dating. And then it cuts to they're at the movies together. And the movie, they're showing a trailer for the movie Chaos. Did you hear the trailer? It's like, all the violence in the world or something. It was so ridiculous.
Which makes you think that they're trying to make this funny. Because what movie did she take him to? She's like, oh, this is a movie about a Santa Claus who kills people. He's
and
like,
then they show clips from Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one. So ridiculous. And there's some dude in the back row. First of all, this is not a theater. This is like somebody's garage that they put some folding chairs into. Total low budget. There's a dude in the back row who's just talking nonsense while his buddy next to him is like putting his head in his hands and shaking his head, embarrassed. The dude's just like throwing popcorn. It's like nobody acts like this. No matter how big of an ass, no one's acting like this at any theater in the world. Okay? But Ricky loses his mind and goes and kills the dude surreptitiously to anyone else watching the movie.
Literally, his leg, he's 2 rows back. The girl is still sitting there. Legs are flying akimbo. Popcorn is flying through the air.
Yes.
And no one notices.
He just murders that dude. So then, while he's committing homicide, his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend appears there. And he's saying, "Oh, we got to get back together, honey." And she's like, "Hey, you didn't call me. You cheated on me." And then I wrote this down. "You ruined my best sweater."
I
What
know.
does that mean?
That means exactly that. That could only mean one thing. If only it was a blue dress.
Yeah, is this a Bill Clinton kind of scenario where it's
exactly, exactly. That could only
you
be
ruined
one thing. I mean, I guess you
exactly
could have washed your sweater. You could have done some spot cleaning.
a little woolite. I mean, who's to say? I mean, you'll be right as rain in no time. Although you're probably better off just tossing it in the fire at that stage of the game. Meanwhile, the ex-boyfriend's like date for the evening is standing there in the aisle, tapping her foot, going, "Come on, let's go." "Oh, she's just keeping me warm until you come back, honey." What is she? Is she another one of the deaf students that's just like, you can say this right in front of me and I do not react or say anything about it?
I
Interesting.
oh yeah. Everybody in this movie is terrible. It's either terrible acting, terrible people. It's all terrible.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay, so smash cut. Ricky is walking with his girlfriend down the street, and he's like, "Oh, there's this
I'm
romantic."
sorry. Can I cut back to the toboggan? I did see some notes. So
Go for
after
it.
Ricky kills the bad tobogganers, I do have
That's
the quote.
Billy who kills the bad tobogganers, the older brother.
Oh, was it? Oh
Yes.
my God, it's so confusing because I have this quote that says Billy hates boys. Was he talking about himself in the third person?
He was talking. He was talking. Oh, sweet Jesus! Yes, that is correct. He talks about himself in the third person. Ricky is walking down the street talking to his girlfriend, going like, "Oh, there's this romantic spot that I've picked out. We can go have a picnic," or whatever the hell he's saying. And there's the ex-boyfriend who's, I guess, his battery has died in front of her house. He's like trying to charge the battery, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Let's charge the battery with a garden hose. He must be like the next door neighbor.
So he's throwing some moves at the girlfriend. She's telling him to take a hike. Ricky loses his mind, as he's prone to do, pushes the guy down, holds him down over the guy's engine, takes one of the jumper cables and puts it in his mouth. And you see the guy thrashing around because he's being electrocuted, ignoring the fact that Ricky is literally touching him. He's holding him with his...
He has him by the throat and is electrocuting him at the same thing. So is he part Martian? Or
yes.
How the electricity passes right through him?
Yes, that is correct.
I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I play one on
TV. Exactly. They should have all been electrocuted. Ricky, or the ex-boyfriend's...
have only been 60 minutes instead of 128.
That's correct. So the girlfriend is pissed off. "I hate you, Ricky. I hate you," which is a weird reaction to have. I mean,
I'm getting the F away from you. How about, I remember I got to get home, and then run like...
Well, you would definitely be like, "I am freaked out by what's occurred." But the "I hate you, Ricky, I hate you" was just a weird thing to say in that moment. Yeah. I think you'd be like, "My house is right here. I'm running for my life." I think would be the correct reaction.
I'm locking the door. I got to go. It's late. Make some excuse. You don't want to anger the person who just murdered someone right in front of you for no good reason.
For no good reason. So she gets strangled. Billy hates bullies. So Ricky strangles her to death with the car antenna.
Yeah, because Billy also hates women who are not appreciative.
That is correct, which I understand. I'm kind of on the same wavelength. There's never a moment where Ricky's like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" At this point, it's just, he's off to the races. He's off to the races. A cop pulls up literally 2 seconds later. Was he just patrolling in the neighborhood? Or is this the fastest response time in the history of the world? Who's to say?
We heard there was some riffraff in the neighborhood.
Heard there's some riffraff. He pulls a gun on Ricky and approaches him and literally lets Ricky take the gun from him and shoot him in the head on accident. It looked like it was on accident. But so the police officer's dead. Now Ricky's got a gun. And he's doing that weird thing. His horrible evil laugh is the most ridiculous thing. This movie is full of weird, ridiculous things that are occurring. So that's where it all begins, goes on his rampage. And then I guess to tie it all together, he escapes from the mental institution at the end of the movie. And now he's looking for Mother Superior. He kills some dude ringing the bell wearing the Santa costume, steals his costume. So now finally he's in the Santa costume. And that's when the hijinks begin at Mother Superior's apartment. You know, what is going on? Do you wear a habit 24 hours a day, by the way, if you're a nun? I'm not sure how it works.
I mean, it's a little late in the decade to still be wearing like the flying nun habit. But did you also catch the nun's address?
666, right?
666.
Oh, sweet Jesus. What else you got?
I ain't got much. I did write down. I just put, why is Ricky crazy? Why is he holding electricity with his hand? Why is it? It doesn't even matter. Mother Superior had a stroke and lives alone.
That's correct.
She's so disabled that she had to leave the nunnery, the convent, but not so much that she has to be taken care of.
That is correct. She has her own. She has her own 2-story apartment. I think it was an apartment, 2-story apartment that she lives in, where she tools around her wheelchair, upstairs, downstairs. Who's to say? And she wears her nun's habit 24 hours a day, even though she's retired.
Exactly.
So that's what they do. That's what happens.
You went to Catholic school. Were they wearing habits?
No.
I think when I went there, they wore these little headpieces. It was not black and white. It was conservative clothing and these little headpieces with very short kind of back veil.
No. When I went to Catholic school, 1st through 4th grade, there was not a habit to be seen. You couldn't tell the nuns from just because it was obviously a school, but some people were nuns, some people were just teachers, right? If you lined them up against the wall, you'd be hard pressed to figure out who was who.
Well, so there you go. But of course, it's Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, or Evil Sister Eileen, Sister Catherine. Evil. They were all evil as far as I'm concerned.
Sister Jeanette, Sister Elsie.
Sister Jeanette. Oh my God.
Yes, I remember them all. I
suppressed that way back when.
Sister Alice. Yep. They're all coming back. We're putting them all on blast tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
I think they're all in hell at this point.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
They're not molested, but they were just sadists. That's all.
A little rough around the edges.
We're pranksters.
Look, we're children. There were 7 of us in the family. We were a little loud, a little boisterous. Not after those nuns got through with us, I'll tell you what.
No, I'm still loud and boisterous. And that's why they're in hell and I'm not there yet.
They're waiting for you, though. I'll tell you what.
But
so there you have it.
I don't project that to all nuns because we have a
no, not at all.
But just desert dwelling nuns. Let's just put it on that.
Shall we go behind the scenes, for God's sakes, on that joyous note?
We feel Billy and Ricky's pain.
That's right. That's how it starts. I don't condone their actions, but I understand.
I often said that, but when I had a baby and was going through a lot of postpartum, there was a lot of women just throwing their children off decks. It seems like whenever I would turn on the TV, it was the lady who drove her 2 kids in, and I'm like, I understand where you're going with this. I don't accept it. I'm not going to throw my kids off but I understand.
This is the most horror. This took a dark turn. I don't know why we've gone down this particular road. Let's go behind the scenes.
You've had no sleep. Most people do not. They realize this is a temporary thing, and you're not going to dispose of your children. But
look, Tom Cruise does not appreciate your feelings on postpartum depression. So there you go. Need I say more? Ask Brooke Shields. Behind the scenes.
Not the Brooke Shields throwing any of her kids off the deck either. And I did not either.
Who's to say?
I can't speak of Kevin's family, but mine are still kicking around.
Who's to say? Who's to say what'll happen in the next 5 minutes? Ricky's eyebrows.
Different happens in the next 5 minutes. Well, first of all, I can't throw William off. He's like 28.
He'll throw you off.
He might throw me off.
Ricky's eyebrows move up and down 130 times during the course of this movie. Somebody took the time to count it because his eyebrows are his only mode of expression. He's like, they're either going up or they're going down, no matter what emotion I may be feeling. So there you go. Good times.
All I think about when he was acting is the director must be saying, yeah, more. I need more of that. I need more of your crazy stuff and kind of the weird smile at the camera. Yeah, you got it.
The moment you notice his eyebrows, you can't unsee them because they're doing a lot of heavy lifting in this movie. I'll tell you what. Ricky yells garbage day before shooting a man holding up a trash can. It became a famous internet catchphrase, and countless videos of the clip can be found on YouTube. Countless!
It is the Academy Award-winning high point of this film.
Oh, no question. No question. This movie, shockingly, received unanimously poor reviews upon release due to the excessive use of footage from Silent Night, Deadly Night 1984. Over the years, however, it has gained a cult following, mainly due to its unintentional campiness as a result of its over-the-top performances and poor screenplay.
Well, let's look at that. Which cult? Jim Jones cult following?
That is correct.
The Manson cult following? Which of these cults is following this?
QAnon.
Is it Bikram? Is it Bikram?
It might be.
QAnon Bikram. They've merged together to form one unit.
The producers of Silent Night, Deadly Night wanted director Lee Harry to recut the first film and insert one or two new scenes with Eric Freeman playing a mental patient to make the story in the original film appear to be nothing more than the ravings of an asylum inmate. However, screenwriters Lee Harry, Joseph H. Earl, Dennis Patterson, and Lawrence Applebaum, yes, 4 writers, wrote short videos.
Listen to those jacked up names. What part of the country are they covering, Mr. Applebaum?
Anti-Semitism much? Anyway.
Oh my God.
Wrote short vignettes involving the patient's youth as he killed several people and eventually became this sequel. There wasn't enough material for a full-length film, so numerous flashback sequences were added. The film still ran short, so almost 10 minutes of closing credits were added, showing the full cast and crew of this film and the original film.
It was an hour and 28 minutes. What do you mean it ran short?
With all those credits.
By my count, it was an hour too long.
Eric Freeman frequently received conflicting direction from director Lee Harry and co-writer Joseph H. Earl during filming. Freeman had wanted to play Ricky as more of a cold and malevolent killer, but Harry envisioned Ricky as more of a wisecracking killer along the lines of Freddy Krueger, while Earl encouraged Freeman to be as over the top as possible in his acting.
Clearly. So that's the one he went with. Not clever like Freddy. Clearly not cold. I'm just going to be so over the top that no one will ever hire me again.
That's correct.
And I had to go live in like a cave in Arkansas.
That is correct. Daryl Gilbo, who plays 15-year-old Ricky in the brief scene, was actually 24 at the time, and in fact older than Eric Freeman, who played the adult version of Ricky.
What the hell?
It's the most ridiculous part. It's like when you see, oh sweet jeez. Well, part of the so they show young Ricky, who's probably like 10 or something. Then they say 5 years later, my adopted father died. And that's when you first see that the 15-year-old Ricky.
Right. So I didn't realize he was 15. He looked like he was 24. He was very attractive. And then I was confused by the later version of himself who looks nothing like him. He went from this attractive, kind of shaggy-haired dude to this, like, I don't want to, I go too far. I go too far.
Yes.
I can't freak shame. Although he's ripped as hell.
He was really buff. Like, really bizarrely buff. I think that's all.
Which is weird because his arms looked all soft, but at one point he's in bed after the brief porno scene. Thank you, 1980s. It was pure soft core. Too much ass and boobs, and none of it his. But he's sitting in bed, and literally he did all his work on his chest and stomach. There's not an ounce of fat.
Well, okay, talking about the sex scene, you don't really see anything. It's a lot of side boob and side butt is what you see as they're laying on each other for not long enough.
Go to like black and white for some reason, and it looked like a European cut Duran Duran video.
There's little soft sax in the background. Absolutely. Her name is
Sax
Rio.
On the beach.
Sax on the beach. Yakety sax. Shall we talk about the cast? Are you ready?
Lay it on me.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to talk about the director. The director, Lee Harry. You know him from Street Fighter. He was an editor. That's helpful. Street Soldiers, The Whistler, and Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Didn't do much, clearly. Very sad. I'm not going to go through the entire cast, but there's some we need to know about.
Is there anyone?
Eric Freeman played Ricky Caldwell, the killer. You know him from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. He was in Living Color. Not as a cast member, but as just like he'd pop
as
up.
An audience member.
He sold concessions.
He's a Fly Girl.
He was one of the Fly Girls. Absolutely.
With Paula Abdul.
He was in a movie called Murder Weapon.
No.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Let's see. Jennifer, which was the girlfriend, was played by Elizabeth Caton. I'm sure.
Did you like they clearly used her headshot as, do you know this woman?
That's correct. She was nice enough to sign it. So that was good to know. You know her. She played Robin in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. There you go. She was in Spy Hard with Leslie Nielsen. She was in Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity.
Oh my God.
Sounds some erotic thing. She was also in Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So there you go. Good. Anybody else you want to know in this movie?
No, I don't know anybody else. The nun. The nun on the right.
The original nun or the face burn nun?
I want to know with both Mother Superiors.
Okay. We've got the original Mother Superior who was shown what they call archive footage, but clearly not archive footage, considering that they were literally just using it as the movie. Her name is, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, Lillian Chauvin. You know her. She's a French character actress. She was in Predator 2. She was in Universal Soldier.
She's the most famous person.
That's correct. She was in Silent Night, Deadly Night. She was in Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, wow. Who was she now? That was an Academy Award nominated.
You're telling me. She was a fine actress. I don't know what the hell she was doing in the other movie. You want to know the
second Mother Superior? Because she does look familiar too.
Well, who's to say? Her face was horribly disfigured. The new Mother Superior, let's see if I can find it here. She was played by Jean Miller. You know her from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. She was in Capital. She was in Union Bridge. She was in Escapes. You know her, don't you?
Is this for the Canadian Broadcast Network?
Yes. Yes, it was. Shall we go and check out the ratings? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 is currently at 25% rotten based upon 8 reviews. The audience score. Do you know what the audience score gave it? Take a guess.
15.
28%. Based upon 5,000 plus reviews.
Boy, that makes it a cult classic when you can raise it by 3 points.
That is correct. There are actually 3 top critics that talk about this movie, although I'm not familiar with any of them.
What makes them top critics?
I think you actually have to be a critic for a recognized site of some sort. And I guess Rotten Tomatoes has some sort of, criteria for that, but I don't know what it is. Let's see. Anton Bittel, I'm sure I'm messing up his name, from Little White Lies. Horror, through Ricky, takes its revenge not only against naughty breachers of film-going etiquette, but also against blowhard critics. That's a positive review, evidently.
I guess. Naughty.
Naughty.
Very naughty.
Eric Henderson of Slant Magazine says, though part 2 isn't much more dignified than its predecessor, at the very least, its isolated pleasures have a culminating effect. 2.5 out of 4. So, that's a rotten, I guess.
I'm going to jump in here before I give my review because I've had time to think about this.
Okay, lay it on me.
There's another rape and murder at the Christmas party.
Yes.
Where Ricky works at the toy store. And again,
Billy.
He murders Billy. Oh my God, it's so confusing. Again, the woman is horrified that you've just come and murdered a person in front of her. And because she was not appreciative, gets murdered herself. So what is the message? Since this is a running thing, it's like a whole series of women getting raped, him killing the men, and then killing the women when they don't appreciate it. So what's the message?
I don't think there is one. I think it's a bizarro
you don't do it once. You do it like 3 or 4 times in the movie.
Well, again, he's suffering from trauma from his father being murdered. It doesn't make any sense. His father was murdered and his mother was attempted raped and then murdered by a guy wearing a Santa suit. So now you put on a Santa suit and do the same thing? Is that how it works?
I guess that's it. Is that it? So he's just reenacting his parents' murder over and over unless the lady says, "Thank you, sir."
And then you're free to go. It's hard to know because it's also like, are we to believe that if Mother Superior had been nicer to him, then he would have gone on to become a well-adjusted individual? But wasn't that Ricky? Ricky seemed like everything was fine until he just goes on a rampage for no reason.
Right, and who is barely going to not even know his brother.
Right.
Doesn't remember the actual murders.
He shouldn't, but he does.
Is like the principal. You don't spend all your time with the principal.
That's correct. That's correct. It makes no on a whole host of levels. The plot, shockingly enough, makes 0 sense. So if you're looking for a theme or a message, keep looking because you ain't gonna find one. It's very sad. What is your rating? Damn it all to hell.
Oh, Kevin. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for suggesting such a film for a holiday classic.
Anytime.
A holiday classic. So I am going to give it 2 jingle bells shoved up Santa's ass.
The real Santa or Ricky or Billy dressed as Santa? And what did the real Santa do?
Now I don't even know.
Now you're traumatized, is what you're saying.
No,
you're
traumatized. I see red, I see red, I see red.
That is correct. I think I'm also going to give it 2 out of 5 garbage day. Because you know what? It has moments that are humorous, but overall, it is a freaking mess. It is a freaking mess.
It's just not interesting enough. And I tried so hard to close attention. But
well,
then
it's like
I watched it on Tubi and I wasn't signed in, so then it crashed, and so then I had to start over again. And
no.
Fast forward it. When you fast forward Tubi, you can't see where you are,
Right.
so you just have to random forward, backwards.
It's a horror story
for our audience.
Well, it's kind of like Troll 2, which people love. People love this movie like they love Troll 2, where I'm kind of like sitting here as a fresh observer to these movies going, I can see these moments are humorous. But overall, is it worth devoting an hour and a half to sit through this? I'm not sure
I think Troll 2, I think the people who like Troll 2 are the people who saw it like when they were 8 or 9.
Right, we talked about that before. Right. You appreciate it when you're a little kid.
I also lost interest on the documentary of the making of Troll 2.
Oh, you started to watch it?
I started watching it. Was it the worst film ever made?
Yes.
What's the name of the documentary?
Something like that.
And then
best worst
I started
film.
watching it, the best worst film, and I immediately just started drifting away.
Wah. So I guess what we're saying is, maybe skip this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, skip this and skip Troll 2, or double down and watch them back to back. I mean, if you did something really evil that day and you need a penance, instead of saying a rosary, this is it.
Mother Troll Superior 2? Would have you watch this. Right, exactly, as punishment.
Yes. If you're naughty. Very naughty.
So, thank you very much. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcast, TWDie. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Aaron, are we on Instagram? Are we on TikTok?
We are on the TikTokers, not on the Snapchat, and I do love the filter. So come join us and share the love. Oh my God, I was death spiraling TikTok. I went from never using TikTok except to post, and now I spend hours watching chiropractic videos of people getting their backs cracked or watching people getting their ears cleaned. And like for 2 hours, I was in a death spiral. But yeah, we're on TikTok like that.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. We're on the gram. Join us on the gram.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen? Listen to our podcast. Do not watch people getting their backs cracked and their ears cleaned. I think we're at least on par. Anyway.
I swear to you, I woke up and my neck was stiff.
I don't doubt it.
I absorbed. I maybe TikTok has got witchcraft in it because I absorbed some of their trauma.
Witchcraft.
2 hours. Oh.
You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you?
Aaron, are you on social media?
I have much media. Oh my God. I'm so lazy though. I haven't been posting. I need to. I'm never going to get famous. I keep waiting to get discovered. And I'll help a brother out, like when I'm discovered with my art and I become very famous. I'll pay for college for one of your kids at least. Are they all going to college, you think?
I think they will one day. Who's to say? It might be a trade school. It might be DeVry. You know what? Whatever's clever.
Whatever's clever. I forgot what the question was. Instagram. I'm on much media. Here we go. I had to go into my mind palace and work my way to the front door.
Like Dr. Sleep is what you're saying.
I'm Dr. Sleep. I'm all of that. So, I am on the Instagram.
Take your time, please.
I'm on the Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. Remember to tithe. It's not like Jim Jones because I don't like flavoring.
It's all Jim Jones.
All this other stuff. It's so much work, I just how do I get the money of a cult without having to do so much? I guess that's why you have the followers. They do the do. Anyway, I am also Don't Feed the Pigeon, and then personally, just in time for the holidays, drift on over to Artsy or First Dibs, Aaron Doherty, buy some artwork. Thank you in advance.
Beautiful. Next week,
eloquent, one might say.
One might, but they'd be wrong. Next week, we'll be discussing the science fiction horror film, The Incredible Melting Man. Our friends over at the Cultworthy podcast sent that lovely suggestion at us. I thought he was a friend. I must have been mistaken because we had to sit through The Incredible Melting Man, and now so shall you. So go ahead.
So much stickiness, so much melting.
So much melting, so much stickiness. If you want,
next time you light your Bed Bath and Beyond, not Bed Bath and Beyond. What's the
Bath and Body Works?
Bath and Body Works. Think about when you light your 3-wick candle, and then that's a man.
That's exactly. So you can watch it. Actually, we watched it for free on Amazon Prime, so you have that to look forward to. Send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So there you have it. Good times had by all, and be well.
Be well.
And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Winter Solstice.
I thought you were going to leave our Jewish friends out. You were
not at all.
With your Hanukkah. Although Hanukkah is right now while we're recording, so it might be a little late.
Happy, it's 8 crazy nights.
Happy late Kwanzaa. When are you releasing this son of a bitch? Actually, on Christmas?
Christmas Day. Was born on Christmas Day.
There you go. All right. So there we are. We might be touching on the tail end of Hanukkah. Right on.
That's what I'm saying. So happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Later.